So I built a Elegy for the end in real life, and not only I built it, it also have LED RGB features, which just basically mean it light up. But lighting up is not the only thing it can do, because we're using dynamic RGB, we can actually change the pattern of the color on the fly using a button that is installed on the Elegy as well. And this all started because 2 weeks ago... Not Homer, Elegy, not Homer. I don't want to sound of Homer. What? What the f is this? Elegy of the Eden. Oh! Elegy, I'm here. What? Where's my Elegy? But anyhow, since I couldn't get one in-game, I figured the only proper solution here is to build one yourself in real life, and so that's what I did. And of course, just like any good project, the first step always starts with the design. So the Elegy for the end looks something like this, and what I figured out I could do is just use a 3D printer to print off this part out. However, of course, I also want to make it light up, and I want to make specifically the edges of this part light up, which is going to go through the end. And convenient enough that the Elegy for the end have like a tip in the middle. So what I figured is I could put all the electronics in here, the circuit board, and I could just run a LED strip all the way to the end from here, and from all the way from the middle to the end here. And then I should be able to get like a cool looking effect. And that's pretty much it. Now, of course, since I want to control the LED, I'm gonna need a circuit board. And here, I'm gonna use the Arduino Nano. This is a microcontroller. You can basically think of it as like a super mini computer that does really basic instruction, such as turning the LED on, or just, you know, putting lights through the LED. And in order to power this thing, I'm also gonna need a portable battery. In this case, I chose to go with the 9 volts battery, simply because they're very small, but they're sufficient enough. But now I have to figure out how to actually get the model out in real life, and I simply just joined some Elegy for the end model off the internet, and you can see here that this is the tip of the Elegy for the end. This is the center pieces. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna prepare this for 3D printing. For example, I'm gonna have to hollow out the part so that I can put all the electronics in, right? And at this moment, I realized I don't actually have a 3D printer, so I bought one. So the 3D printer I end up getting is called a Ender 3 V2 Pro. It's a really cheap printer, like about $300 to $400. And of course, we have to start with the calibration. Here I'm trying to level the heated bed, and we can do some test print to confirm that it worked. And once this worked, I went to buy some filament, and the filament I'm using here is called the Aqua Gemstone Translucent. That'll let the LED shine through potentially, and we can get started. And once you have your model prepared, what you need to do next is to put your model into what we call a slicers. Basically, what the slicer does is it takes your model and it calculates how to tell the 3D printer to print it. It basically converts your model into instruction that the 3D printer can understand, and it will print it. For example, in this case, you can see it will start with the first layer, which is the support. You need support because, you know, gravity is a thing, and unfortunately for a human being like us, we have to follow Newton first and second and third law. And then you pretty much just keep going up like this. You will start printing the part, and you can see the orange part are the infill. Infill mean like how sturdy you want it to be, because the more stuff you put inside, the more sturdy it is. And you just pretty much keep going until you finish up the pieces like this, and that's how a 3D printer basically works. And then at that point, you just wait and print, and hopefully your 3D printer doesn't screw it up and, well, decide to just knock your stuff over. Some of these pieces really take forever to print, but while this is printing, let me show you, right? So this part you can see is hollowed out, and this is where the electronics will go through. And this piece is pretty big in particular. This is the handle. It's gonna go, so this is the edges, and then the corner, and then as we start getting to the center, you can see the pieces get bigger. And so this is the piece that follow after that. This right now, it's been 17 hours since it started, and we still have 6 more hours to go. This is a full 24-hour print, and I'm kind of running a little bit low on filament. Hopefully it'll be fine, maybe. With that being said, I bought a lot of cheap Chinese electronics off AliExpress, and once they have arrived, I was able to put them into the Elegy for the end right here with the LED you can see going through it. And here is the full picture of the full product after the 3D print has been completed. You can see it kind of resembles the Elegy for the end already. So now we just have to put it together. Must be simple, right? And the method I chose to use is simply the always work glue gun and then just spray and spray method. Yeah. With the plastic being glued together, we still have to put the electronics together. And the way you would do that would be through something called soldering. Now, I want to make a very important call, and that is do not do this at home without the proper training, as you can inhale the lead and it can be very poisonous and can cause cancers. So please do not try this at home unless you know what you're doing. And of course, finally, you just connect the wire together with the microcontroller and plug the microcontroller into your computer, and we're ready to get started on the programming component of the project. Alright chat, we're in Hackerman Rise Up. And at this point, we are ready to finally write some code to control the LED to make a effect that we desire. But at this point, you might be asking, what kind of code do you actually have to write to control the LED? Good question. I don't actually know. You see, I use this technique known by all famous programmer known as just
put away your code. You don't try and write anything to deal with this. You look at the people who have been there before you. You look at the first people, the people who have dealt with this before, the people who have built the spaghetti code, and you go to them and you thank them very much for making it open source, and you give them credit, and you take what they have made, you put it in your program, and you never ever look at it again.
So now we do what known as yoinking people code, copy and paste this, boom, right? I yoink, and then you go on the Papaya coding adventure for a couple of hours because, well, programming is like just right? Right? Holy f, dude, I got it. Why doesn't it work before? Why doesn't it work before? In the end, we landed on this really cool effect that I really liked it, where the bow will start from green and then slowly fade to blue. However, after about a 5-second delay, it will slowly fade back to green and complete the cycle. The actual program here is rather simple. You will start with the setup, basically telling the microcontroller, hey, I have two LED at the data pin 5 and 8, and I want you to light these up. And then you will go into the program main loop and say, okay, I want you to light this up using the blue to green effect, right? And the blue to green effect is very simple. You start by turning every single LED on to HSV value 86, which is basically just mean green. However, after a 2-second delay, I want you to slowly change each LED to a blue color. Now, of course, there is a fade effect going on here as well. And the way you would do it is simply say, okay, the number one LED is going to be HSV 192, which means it's going to be a bright blue. However, the one next to that will have 2 value less than that. So it will be lesser blue than the previous one. And then that one, the next one will have lesser blue than the previous one until you slowly get to the end where you have about HSV value like 100-ish, which is starting to approach green again. And then after a 5-second delay, you just reverse it and change it back to green. Very simple. But right now, it still looks pretty ugly even with the LED on because it's all the plastic blue. So we're gonna have to paint this thing, huh? So I realized that I didn't actually film any of the painting part, but what you need to know basically is that I bought these acrylic paint, and then after I primed it with the primer, you just kind of slowly paint it on top of the plastic. So you can see this is very ugly because I suck at painting, but it's look okay when you look at it from afar. When you look at it too close, not too bad, and I'm sure with the LED on it, it's still gonna be fine, you know. If you ever see a scuffed looking elegy when you go to Anime NYC, you know that's me, okay? Oh, and by the way, this is my workbench. This is usually where I do stuff. You can see the soldering station right here, my 3D printer right here, and some other garbage right here. You can call it a workbench or you can call it a garbage dumpster. I don't really know. Here is what it looked like after doing all the painting. You can see that when you look up close, it's kind of scuffed. But I mean, with my art skill, it's like passable, right? Just give me a pass, guys. But only having one color is very boring. So I bought a couple buttons, or well, a bunch of buttons that will assist me into changing the colors. And oh god, this took forever, because as it turned out, in order to make the button actually work, I have to rewrite the entire code base to make it work, because for some reason Arduino doesn't have multi-threading. But after about 4 hours of constant struggling with the program, I finally have made a button that will change the color of the elegy when you press on it. Yes, adding this one single button took about 4 hours. Probably longer, but hey, we got it in the end anyway. But anyway, here is what the final product actually looked like. Well, kind of what it looked like. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with it. It's really fragile. I'm hoping that it doesn't break apart. The only thing that's keeping the bow up right now is my hopes and dream ends up on the glue. When the glue eventually fall apart, the bow is also gonna fall apart. Honestly, I did not plan this out properly. Kind of just like slam a bunch of stuff together. But at least I can say I accomplished something, right? I mean, hopefully, at least. But anyway, I'm gonna be bringing this bow to Anime NYC for a convention, so I'll see you all there. We will put it in our suitcase and we're ready to go to NYC. It's too big. Anyway, if you watched until here, I really appreciate it. Maybe most people just want to see the product and then call it a day. Maybe not that many people actually care about the behind the scene engineering process, but what I wanted you guys to know is that I made this video specifically for you guys about those who dream to be an engineer and want to know how stuff is made behind the scene and what do you need to do to get started. Just know that if you dream of it, you can do anything, you know, just believe in yourself. Anyway, with that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comment. Maybe I'll make another weapon in the future. Let me know what you guys want to see. Maybe I'll just make the one that get upvoted most. Or maybe I'll just make a staff of Homer for my Xiangling. With that being said, if you would like to see another weapon in the future, of course don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.